One of the phrases that you'll hear thrown around a lot with Google Drive is real-time collaboration. A lot of people think this is where the real strength lies in these Google services, is the ability for people to share their work with one another, work on them together, collaborate in real time. So I wanted to show you what real-time collaboration actually looks like. So I'm logged in right now under the test student account, and I've created a document right here called real-time collaboration. And I'm going to want to share that with another account so we can see how those two things work together. Now, I've already covered sharing in another video, but I did want to show you one other way to share a document without actually having to open it and then go into the sharing settings. If I just check the box in front of the name of the file that I want to share, you'll see that they're not there. Now they are. Okay. So if you have something checked, that some options pop up, and one of those options looks like a little person with a plus sign, and when I put my mouse over it, it says share. So when I click on that, I get the same sharing settings that I did, when I'm inside the document and trying to share it. So I want to go ahead and share this, and I'm going to share it with my actual own account. So I'm just going to start typing M. Dalton, and as I do, remember, because we're all part of the same Google Apps domain, it's automatically going to pop up. There it is, and all I have to do is left click on it and it fills the rest in. And I want Mark Dalton to be able to edit the document, not just view it or comment. Okay, and remember I mentioned in the sharing video about the whole notify via email that students aren't going to have Gmail enabled for the foreseeable future. So I wanted you to see what happens if you don't do that. So I'm going to uncheck that box and click OK. And it will say, if you skip sending email, they'll have to actually log into their account to see that you shared something, which fine, whatever. So I just click OK, and now I can see that that document is shared. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my other account, and I'm going to split screen here so that you can see what this looks like for both people who are sharing the document. Okay, things are a little bit cramped here, but I think you'll get the point. So you can see that over here on the right hand side, okay, that I just highlighted, this is still that test student account. The other thing I wanted to point out here is that Google is Google is Google. It doesn't matter ultimately for most of the things that you're going to want to do. It doesn't matter what browser you're using. So this test student account is logged in on Internet Explorer. So this is a window in Internet Explorer. Over here on the left-hand side is my account, so it's M. Dalton, you can see, and this is Firefox. And you'll notice that other than just kind of a few things at the top of the screen, the rest of it all is the same. I mean, once you're logged in, like I said, it doesn't matter what browser you're using. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is that over here in my Mark Dalton window, you'll see that even though that document, real-time collaboration, has been shared with me, it's not showing up in my list. Well, it's not showing up in my drive. That's because I didn't create the document, so by default, it's not in my drive. Instead, what I need to do is click on the link that says shared with me. And when I do, there it is. Okay, so this is a document. It's telling me that test student secondary created, and now I could leave it here, and from this point on, anytime I log in, I could just click on shared with me. If this was a document that I knew I was going to be working on for the long term with somebody else, and I wanted in my drive also, then what I could do is just left click and hold on this and drag it over, and you'll notice when I do it kind of highlights, and I could put it anywhere in my drive I wanted to, and then let go. And when I do, it says real-time collaboration has been added to my drive, and if I click on my drive, there it is. Okay? One other thing that you may want to think about, which I didn't mention in the sharing video, is that if somebody has shared a document with you and it's something that you think you're going to want to keep a copy of or change for yourself and not necessarily want other people to see the copy or the changes that you're making, if I widen this out a little bit so it's easier to see, if I click the button next to, or the box next to real-time collaboration, and I go to more, one of the choices that I can do is to make a copy. Okay, And what that does for me then is it creates a copy in my drive of that document. See, there it is. Now that I just refreshed it, copy of real-time collaboration. And the benefit of that is, I'll show you in the end when we're done, is if this test student has shared this document with me, if the test student then deletes that document, then it's deleted out of my drive too. So if it's, as I said, if it's something that I want to make sure that I have access to forever, make a copy of it for yourself. Okay? But this is still the shared copy, so I want to go ahead and first thing I'll do is come back over here to my student account and open up the document so we're looking at it. Okay, and now I am going to do the same thing in my Mark Dalton account. I'm going to click on real-time collaboration. When I do that, just watch what happens over here in the student version. Okay, so you should have noticed that little pink M popped up here, little pink line, little pink T here, little pink line. What that tells you is if you're in your own drive and you open up a document and you see a colored letter and a colored line, what that means is that there's somebody else who's an editor of that document who is viewing that document at the same time that you are. Okay? Because the two of you can both view it at the same time and you can both make changes to it at the same time. Okay, so this student has shared this document with me, and I'm going to show you how this works. So they wanted some feedback, maybe wanted some corrections, so I'm just going to go ahead and get to it. So I put my cursor there. This is just showing me that's where the test student's cursor is at the moment. It's just going to sit there because the test student is sitting and watching as I'm making some changes. I'm going to hit the tab button so it indents a new paragraph. And then I'm going to start making some other changes. So in this video, comma, you will see, let's change that. You'll notice that I highlighted the number 2 because I want to erase it, and I'm going to replace it with the word. And you'll notice that in the student's view, my cursor has moved, and they can see what I just highlighted. And I'm going to point out at this point that, in fact, it's not just 2 people that can edit a document at the same time. You can have multiple people editing. Obviously, in a piece of text this small, you wouldn't want 6 people editing it. But if you're talking about a document that's 20 pages long, you know, something for a committee or whatever, people might have different sections that they're responsible for. You can all be working on it at the same time. So you notice that the point is that what they mean by real-time collaboration is that as I was making the changes over here in my Mark Dalton window, that the test student could actually see what was happening and see the changes that were being made real time as they were being made. Now, one other way that we can collaborate, and let me just make this window a little bit bigger so that we can see some of the blank margin over here that's not part of the document. I've mentioned comments in the earlier sharing video, but let me show you how that would work and how it would look here. I could highlight a word or something if I thought you might want to try a different word here. Maybe I just want to say, I'm going to click comment, and I'm going to click that I want to add a comment. You might want more detail. Okay, so let me bring this one back down and let me make this one a little wider. So over here in the student account, that comment popped up as soon as I hit the comment button and submitted it. And so now the student in their window, maybe I'm going to go on to the next paragraph or whatever and keep making comments. The student then, if they're collaborating and working on this at the same time that I am, the student then could start making those changes. So they might say, and again, more detail. Okay, so let's say they've made all the changes, added a bunch more detail. They could either comment back to me by adding their own comments, so we could have a running dialogue here on the side, or if they've fixed the problem that I pointed out, they could click the resolve button. And if I click the resolve button, the comment goes away. Now the comment's not gone for good. There's a way that you can always see whatever comments were made on the documents, but it's out of the way for now because we know we've taken care of it. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out that's kind of nice about this, especially if you have more than a couple of people working on a document, and you want to know, for instance, let's say you're a teacher, and you want to know, this group project that people turned in, who did what, how much work was done by this person, or who was responsible for this part of it. Or if you have a group document and something gets erased that you didn't want erased, or something gets added that shouldn't have been added, and you want to know, okay, who was responsible for that. What we can do is come up here to File and click on See Revision History. And in the revision history, the original version is always going to be at the bottom, and then more recent revisions pile up on top. So if we kept this document going for days or weeks, we might have to scroll down through this because we'll see all of the changes that have been made. And if I click on one of those, so for instance, if I click on the first one that says today at 2:18, watch what happens to the document. Now, it didn't actually change it. All it's doing right now is just showing me a revision history. The original, the other version that we have made some changes to is still there. This is just so I could see, well, what did the original look like, when this person got done editing. Now, if I click on here, you'll see that everything in pink was done by Mark Dalton, and again, every person will have their own color that'll pop up under this. And you can see Mark Dalton added a comma, Mark Dalton crossed out the word to and wrote the word to and added this in. And then if we go up here, we can see that the most recent revision was that the test student added more detail, more detail. So again, it keeps a running list to show you everything that everybody has done within that document. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that maybe clears it up a little bit, makes you see how you could actually work with more than one person on a document and make that useful for you.